industries, including tourism, because this is in the long term a way of using culture for development. And of course, we continue with our institutional mandate to encourage and promote creativity and artistic development for this country, especially for support for new works and artistic excellence. And then thirdly, this is a program, of course, this should be priority, a way of making Filipinos even prouder of being Filipinos, because our sense of national identity is still a work in progress. So under this, we have many programs and activities that will be covered by a budget totaling, as approved by as recommended by the DBM per NEP, it will be a total of 179 million. And this represents an increase from our 2013 budget, 2013 and 2014. This represents an increase of 54,508,000. And well, you can see in our proposal that there is a distinction made between the GAA and the NEFCA. The total for the GMA, for the GAA is 30,205,000, while that for the NEFCA is 387,974,000. And of course, some of the, well, just to give some highlights, under the three trusts that I mentioned, we will have partnerships with LGUs, cultural and creative industry activities, projects, especially the support for the Schools for Living Traditions. And this has been going on since 1995. We're trying to revitalize vanishing but worthy traditions all over the country. We have the program for cultural diversity and the creative industries, mapping and research on we have mapping and research documentation on our masters. We also support major festivals like the Philippine Arts Festival, the Heritage Program, the IO Festival. This is the festival of the biggest gathering of indigenous peoples all over the country. And we used to support international dance exchange. Well, when it comes to sustainable development, we have the Escuela Atelier program together with the Integrated Disaster Management Program. Just this morning we had a meeting with UNESCO Jakarta to further refine our approach and program for the restoration of destroyed structures in Bohol, Cebu, and Samar, especially to find ways of making sure that the restoration work will result in more or less earthquake-proof and typhoon-proof churches and buildings. That was what we had this morning, a meeting with the UNESCO representatives from Jakarta. And of course, we have other cultural development activities, the outreach program, Technical Resource Persons Bureau, including our workshops for the different art forms. We also have regular support for the national music competitions for young artists. And we're trying to, continue support for the Gawad sa Malilikanang Bayan, which is the counterpart of the national artists. Because the benefits of the National Artists awardees are also what the Manlilikanang Bayan or the Gamaba awardees are getting, because they are on the same, they have the same rank. And of course,
please continue that.
This is
Gamaba.
Gamaba.
That's institutionalized, no?
That is institutionalized.
It's not budget dependent.
Well, we have a regular budget for that.
Regular yan, no?
Merong regular budget for
Even
that.
long after our terms are gone.
It will go on, but we're trying to hasten the process so that we can have more about this, so that before the masters pass away, at least they'll be recognized, and the younger people, become aware, no, that there is this tradition in their midst, because younger people are no longer interested in learning the age-old traditions because of the difficulty, and maybe because they have easier ways of making a living. That's the problem. But of course, we have already gone a long way in reviving so many traditions that have been dying. In fact, we were talking about the Lakub tradition of the Maranao, which we have revived recently.
Congratulations for that.
Just 1 week ago. And because this is the first time that they are doing it again after 20 years of...
In the whole country?
In the whole country. There's been nobody doing this for the past 20 years. And finally, we have very beautiful Lakub again. And
it's
we hope
made out of...
made out of bamboo.
Bamboo.
And this is the only tinalak on bamboo.
Natural dye?
Natural dye.
From what plants?
Maybe, well, those natural dyes that we use for making mats are the same dyes that are used for this. And that's why they are not easily...
You should get the PTRI involved so that they also teach the people may karagdagan livelihood for natural dye in the area. Congratulations for that.
Thank you. So, yun lang, that so far I think we have been upgrading the standards, not only the musicians because of NAMSIA, National Music Competition for Young Artists, but we have conducted the International Rondalia Festival for the past three times locally, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Now, because it has become international and the quality of playing has really improved a lot, we are now bringing it out of the country. So the Rondalia is now international. This time it will be done in Taiwan, Korea, and Indonesia. In other words, it's now something that musicians all over the world are aware of, that this is something Philippine. And finally, I just like to inform people here that we have the Centro Rizal. We're trying to establish Centro Rizal. We are going to meet tomorrow with somebody from the director of the Instituto Cervantes, so that we can institutionalize Centro Rizal, because it's the counterpart of Instituto Cervantes. We're hoping to have this in many different countries. And also, I'd like to announce to everybody that with the help of Senator Loren, we were able to acquire a slot. We were able to participate in the Venice Biennale. This is the most prestigious Biennale. It has been going on for the past 100 years. And for the first time, the Philippines will be participating as a country. And this will start in May. We have chosen a curator, Patrick Flores, who will be curating the works of Manny Montelibano, Jose Tense Ruiz, and Manuel Conde. So these are the highlights.
Very good.
Thank you.
Kindly also institutionalize our participation in the Venice Biennale for art and for architecture.
For art and architecture.
So
yes,
that after art, the architecture alternates. So every year. So that our artists and our architects are honed also. And this will lead also to a resurgence of economic activity here.
That's a very good idea, because we will be in the public eye internationally. And
let's put the necessary funds, either DFA Cultural Diplomacy Unit or directly in the NCCA, so that there's no need downloading for the architecture for 2016.
Because you are very creative people, and this has to be known not only in Singapore, which has been buying many of our works, but also Europe, because Europeans know more about our Smoky Mountains and kidnapping.
And imagine, if we preserve, first we're participating, and thank you to your for your full cooperation and support and understanding of this. Not many people are supportive and understanding of these projects. But thank you for your support for the Art Biennale. If we also do it for the Architecture Biennale, and there will be greater awareness, probably this massacre of destruction of heritage buildings and structures will stop. Because if we are participating as a country National Pavilion, in the Architecture Pavilion, there will be more awareness of our architecture. They will no longer demolish hotels, buildings, clubs, structures. Even, for example, the Torogan in Lanao del Sur will be, probably the families will appreciate it. And many privately owned structures will say, uy, maganda pala ang mga traditional na maaring i-contemporize, you know what I mean? So, magkakaroon ng resurgence of interest in architecture.
I think that's a very good insight because I've always, well, this is well known in our commission and among the cultural workers that I've always thought, in fact, I still think that architecture is the least developed art in this country because most of the time we are just aping Italian villa designs or architecture in New York and other countries. We are not projecting our own identity.
Even when we see in the newspapers, and there's nothing wrong with that, but in some resorts, in some developments, we always ape. We want to look Italian. We want to look French. What about our Torogan, as you say? What about our Ifugao houses and our Bontoc house? We have beautiful architecture. And I think our beautiful Art Deco buildings, which are being demolished also. So, if we participate, there will be greater interest.
With this participation, Filipinos will become more aware of their architectural heritage, and this will perhaps lead to one proposal that we are presenting you, the proposal for...
To put on record, we have the 1,000 Gabaldon buildings of DepEd.
Of course. But we are also proposing an iconic building in the shape of a balanghay because in one symposium 3 years ago, scholars arrived at the iconic symbol of the Philippines. According to this exchange, the iconic building of the Philippines could be the balanghay. And if we can make at least an 8-story balanghay building, an 8-story building in the shape, well, of course it will be modernized, it will be a contemporary design, but shaped like a balanghay. This can be an iconic building in the same way that in Indonesia we have the Borobudur, in Australia we have the Sydney Opera House. Because when people go to the Philippines, there's nothing that reminds them that tells them they're in the Philippines. If we can have this iconic building, this can be the house for the Institute for Living Tradition, where people will be trained to learn their traditional arts and crafts, to specialize in this. This can also be a museum of folk art and a training institute for the Manilikanang Bayan. Also, where we can have a natural dye laboratory and one loom, one family project that we were mentioning the other week. Showcase of the works and products of the families who are the recipients of the project, of the one loom, one family project, will be exhibited in this building. These are some of the components of the Institute for Living Tradition. It's there.
I hope we could do that within our term.
Well, this will be a legacy.
It will be a great legacy. And you have the NEFCA. Perhaps you can find out how you can access that.
We can make it a realistic budget
yes.
for the NEFCA. And
do some pencil pushing conceptually. That's beautiful. We accept that. We support it. It's a great project. And as you say, balanghay, not many people know what a balanghay is or looks like. Can you just tell us, how does a balanghay look like?
But we are really the greatest seafarers in the whole history of Southeast Asia and maybe the whole of Asia. Because until now, we have the greatest number of seafarers working in other countries, working all over the world. And it's just appropriate that our symbol will be the balanghay. And not many people are aware of what it is. Because many people think that the balanghay is very small. Actually, there's a discovery in Butuan of a new balanghay that's 5 times the size of what we think is the balanghay. Because there's a balanghay in the National Museum, at the open air exhibit of the National Museum. There's a balanghay which is quite small, but big enough by our standards. But there's a balanghay.
What is the balanghay in the National Museum?
The one that was recovered earlier in Butuan. But it's a baby balanghay.
It's the one in the parking area.
The one in the parking area.
Does it seem like it's not maintained? Or is it? I mean, is it, yung nga pala, I forgot to ask Anna and Jeremy
I think
about
that was the one used for the voyaging of this, the ones.
Because I saw some tarpaulins or some sari-sari store-like structures beside it.
Anyway, that balanghay looks big. But the mother balanghay discovered in Butuan is 5 times bigger than that.
Dapat malinis yung nakapaligid sa balanghay sa National Museum at walang ibang structure doon. At sa gabi may ilaw doon. Mamaya nawawala na yung mga ibang parte doon, ng mga kahoy. As chair of NCCA, NM is part of the commission. Could you kindly look at the balanghay and if there is a standing description of what it was so that also there will be greater awareness for that. Yeah.
Walang photo bombers.
Could you kindly explore possibilities of the location of your balanghay building that will house all of these projects? In the CCP complex, perhaps? So 2 things. The details of how to go about it, the funding from NEFCA, what is a ceiling allowed by DBM, the space needed for it, how big, which government agency is willing to donate the land. Doesn't have to be, it can be a long-term lease. Anyway, it's government to government. So NEFCA funds, land of what? CCP.
Even the TESTA and the chair will be interested in this because, for example, the TESTA is training our young people in particular skills. This Institute for Living Traditions will have a program for certification, accreditation of skills such as weaving, brass making, pottery, and even the lacube. Even
our SITEM, let's say our SITEM Manila Fame exhibits which are held in Mall of Asia. An alternate place, Mall of Asia is beautiful, but an alternate place also could be a balanghay building, diba? Maraming pwedeng gawin.
CCP complex can be
CCP complex
we can talk to the CCP president, who is a member of the board anyway. We can do that. So that these are the highlights of our budget proposal.
You mentioned about the national instruments, was it festival? And you promised last time you will include Philippine drums. Because that's the only one missing. No? It's already there. Yeah. And I support your continuing support of the SLTs. Maganda po yung ginagawa nyo. And also, if I may suggest, when you award the Gamaba awardees, it's great that we recognize them. Let's not stop in just merely recognizing them, but let's already institute their handing over to the next generation of whether weavers, sculptors, etc., or whatever skill or art they have for which they're recognized, so that once you award them, do you actually give them financial, technical assistance so that they bring it down? Maybe after we put them maybe in a picture, in a plaque, and they die, it also dies with them. Baka. Kaya if along with the pagtatanghal sa kanila ay binibigyan natin ng suporta, and then we pass on the torch to a group or a person to identify who continues the skill. It's very good that you have the Gamaba Award. It's very good you recognize them continuously and we institutionalize this long after we're gone from government. But maybe what I see lang missing, if ever it's missing, I'm not sure if it's done, that the next generation who will take up the cudgels for that skill should be identified when they are awarded.
I think that's really a very, a quite difficult task, pero it's doable. Kasi nga, it's very hard to find among young people an interest in this painstaking technical, actually highly technical traditions that we have, especially the tinalak weaving. It requires so many techniques.
Kaya,
from gathering the material to...
Kaya dyan po papasok yung institute. Kasi the institute will perpetuate the teaching, pagtsatsagaan, the training, the documenting, the sourcing of materials, and the recruitment of people who will do it.
I think one way of doing is to provide scholarships.
Actually, Your Honor, when the Gamaba awardee is given the award, part of the conditions for their monthly stipend and financial assistance is that they continue to teach the craft to the community. And the approaches are different. Like in one, for example, in Abra, no, the Tabungao, this is already...
Anong Tabungao?
Gordhat, yeah. This is already integrated in the National High School of Abra, in the curriculum of the school. So it's...
Maganda yan. Adele, yung sinabi mong yan, may idea ako. Kung ginagawa yun sa Abra at naka-integrate mainstream sa DepEd, National High School, yung paggawa nun, ayun, magmumowa kayo. Meron na.
We
Ibig
also have a
sabihin,
MOA with the teaching of the hudhud in Ifugao.
meron na.
Meron na. Teaching of the
Gawin nyo sa
hudhud.
lahat ng SLT para protektado from vanishing. Yun, lahat na.
Yeah.
I'm sure si Sec Luistro will be more than happy.
That's one way. We are also thinking of providing scholarships to young people who will be interested in having a job immediately after they graduate, because these skills are needed, no, by the country, not only for tourism but for the creative industries. I'm sure people will buy laku, people will buy very beautiful masks. We don't have a shortage of possible market or buyers for these very beautiful products. What we need are people who will be interested. If we can provide a scholarship and assure some kind of a job placement for the graduates of these certificate courses, I think the certificate courses will be 2-year courses will be enough, and this will assure the livelihood of many students or young people who otherwise may not become interested because they think there's no use for the skills in their communities. I think this can be done.
Magandang ginagawa nyo.
2 ways.
Mm-mm.
Through the educational system and through our setting up certificate courses.
Ilang LGU o ilang SLT ang meron kayong MOA with DepEd, so it is institutionalized in that high school of that place?
Actually, ma'am, there's a general MOA with DepEd where the SLTs can be conducted in the DepEd schools. At the moment, we're piloting around 15 schools. The teachers or the schools really implementing the SLT within their parang day schedule, no? Not an extracurricular, but within their schedule, so that it becomes part of their classes. Yan. 15 schools. Is
Kindly
in
give me a
pilot
copy of your
stage.
MOA with
Okay.
DepEd.
Oo.
And then those 15 schools na pilot ninyo.
Oo,
At ilan pa yung mga eskwelahan na hindi kasama sa pilot? Para
marami
tulungan
pa po.
natin ma-expedite. Kasi kung hindi kasama sa pilot, baka mamaya mamatay na yung, mag-vanish na yung craft. Hindi natin ma-institutionalize. So, kaya sabay-sabay na. I'm sure DepEd will cooperate.
Yeah, but yes, ma'am. Okay. The reason why we pilot this first because in anticipation of the K11 to 12, no, so that by the time they reach the 11, there is already a special track for indigenous arts, so that if they wish to proceed to this kind of craft or this particular craft in the community, and they don't like to proceed to college, or at least they know already their own craft. So,
Ganda.
This is in consonance
Ang
with
ganda, natutuwa ako sa inyo. Dahil ilang hearing ko na sinabi ito, sa Bhutan, hindi ba, binanggit in 13 crafts. Imagine those people have great admiration for the Bhutanese. Pinili nila ang kanilang 13 most important art forms. At nagtayo sila ng kolehiyo na yun ang tinuturo. Hindi ng certificate course, 4 hanggang 5 taon. Kung ikaw ay nag-uukit ka lang 5 taon at binisita ko sila, they're so serious. 8 hours a day, that's all they do. So really, their art skill is protected, passed on, at mga bata ang gumagawa with a master craft maker, master, nagtuturo,
This is
a mentor.
similar to an expanded eskwela atelier.
So what you're doing now?
Di ba? Yes.
Yeah, very good. I didn't know that. I never knew and realized that the SLTs, you're talking about the SLTs, in certain areas are taught in DepEd high schools. Is that my understanding? An example is in Abra.
Abra,
What
but
school?
That's quite advanced already because that's already institutionalized in the school.
School is
I think
this?
it's Abra National High School.
In
Only
fact,
one. Oo.
Just
In fact, they had a gradation.
Elective or
they
what?
had a gradation where all the students were wearing the products.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Ganito. Sa Lacob, yung Lacob, sa,
Marawi.
sa Marawi. Sa Marawi National High School, institutionalized yung paggawa ng Lacob.
Actually, ma'am, last Monday I talked to the barangay captain of that village, and we
Can you
agreed.
just put on record anong village? What town?
It's in Marantau, so Marantau, yeah. And we agreed that we will ask the national high school, the nearest national high school, to include the lakob making in their EPP or EPP.
Anda. So, ganito po, gawin natin ha. So, first, give me a copy of your MOA with DepEd. Titignan ko kung may gaps o wala. Number 2, yung 15 na pinilot nyo, bigyan nyo sa akin yan. Pero pangatlo, lahat na ng lugar na may SLT, covered man, hindi man covered ng DepEd MOA nyo. Kung hindi pa covered, meron ba?
Covered po kasi general po.
General.
All
Yun
DepEd
pala eh.
schools eh.
Pero ito, baka nakamuha pero hindi ginagawa. Kaya itatanong ko ngayon,
funding.
kay SEC, hindi funded.
No, hindi po lahat may SLT pa kasi nga po limited pa yung funding.
Hindi lahat may SLT.
Hindi lahat ng DepEd schools ay may SLT because we still
Hindi pa
Kaya
lahat
nga po
na
nakapilot lang
i-implement.
siya.
I see. Ang funding kailangan galing sa DepEd.
as it is, it's from NCCA po.
Hindi nyo kayang pondohan from your NEFCA?
Yun nga po, sa NEFCA, yung pilot nga.
Isabay-sabay na
It's
yung
taken
ng
from the
pilot.
NEFCA.
Mamamatay yan eh. Mawawala eh.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
makakalimutan. So imagine, there's a resurgence of culture being taught. Culture and heritage being taught, preserved, integrated, mainstreamed, institutionalized in DepEd schools. That's so exciting. Aren't all of you in this room excited?
We are excited. Coincidentally, yesterday,
LRA director natutuwa siguro sa akin. Itong si Senadoran to kanina, lupa at saka DOJ pinag-usapan ngayon naman mga SLT para matuto kayo. Iba naman itong pinag-usapan.
coincidentally,
Exciting! I want to cry. Kasi ang butan, nakita ko yan 5-8 years ago. Tapos sabi ko, gusto kong gawin nito sa Pilipinas. Hindi ko alam meron kayong ginagawa niyong to. This is an expanded eskwela atelier. And this is exactly what Bhutan is doing, except kayo, ang ginawa nyo, mainstream nyo sa public school system. Ngayon, magandang konsepto. Ginagawa ba? Yan ang tanong ko.
Dahan-dahan po, meron pong nangyayari.
Ting dahan-dahan kasi nga, nawawala na. Namamatay na yung mga manang.
Yeah, I think we should really target in the
Tama.
next 2-3 years.
Oo, hindi. For 2015, dapat in full force, lahat ng SLT naka-mainstream na sa lahat ng DepEd schools. I'm sure Sec. Luis matutuwa dyan. So, ganitong gagawin. Give me yun ang amendment ko sa DepEd budget. Kailangan yan eh. Bahala na kayo.
Madam Senator, coincidentally, hindi ko alam na meron tayong 15, no? I thought mga 7 lang. Coincidentally, yesterday, we had a meeting in Palawan. I'm the head of the music committee of the NCCA. We identified 2 tracks sa grade 11 at saka 12. Kasi after graduation, yung nakatapos ng 11 and 12, pwede na sila magtrabaho eh. We identified 2 tracks sa art. One, sa music, no? One track will be Western music kasi meron din talaga gusto mag-aral ng violin, piano. But the other track that we really identified is the Indigenous music track.
Ganda.
And ngayon,
Konserto ka nga ng Indigenous Music Festival sa CCP. Sige na.
Pwede yan. Yung Taal
O, lagay
Tunugan,
nyo sa ano nyo for next year.
our program for the tracking, no, of our tracking for indigenous music, ang pangalan niyan Taal Tunugan. And Taal Tunugan, Taal means native. Tunugang native. Sounding native. And we chose 3 areas, yung mga gadang ng Paracelis.
Gadang. Paracelis Mountain Province.
Mountain Province. And the harp tradition of Cagayan.
No, Cagayan has a harp.
Yeah, the harp tradition of Cagayan.
Anong bayan?
Oh, marami. Sa Lalo, marami.
In Lalo?
Namamatay na eh. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, exciting.
Piyat and so on. May the other, and also the other one, Palelet, the bamboo music ensemble of
Piñas.
Isabela.
Bamboo organ sa Las Piñas.
Yung bamboo instrument, Palelet, bamboo traditions of Isabela, Isabela.
Musiko lang to para sigurado. I'll get to that. I like that.
Gadang.
Yung funding should be NCCA or DepEd yung sa SLT in the K+12? DepEd, ilagay niyo yun, amendment ko, LB Remo, yan. Napakahalaga niyan. Ilan ba yung total?
High schools, DepEd high schools.
Hindi, meron naman high school na walang SLT sa lugar eh.
Thousands. I mean, if we put this in...
Yung meron lang, ilan bang SLT natin? More or less, 100, 200?
Most of these SLTs are in communities, no? Community-based.
Yeah.
So far, around mga 15 lang yung school-based, or meaning, kasama siya doon sa...
No, ang ibig ko sabihin nga, yung pilot nyo 15. Pag ibig ko sabihin, lahat ng SLTs na gusto natin buhayin o buhay pa, yung mga high schools sa mga lugar na yun ang magtuturo ng SLT yun, hindi ba?
Yun.
Oo. So,
as
yun
long
ang
as we
dapat...
have the funding.
Oo, yun ang magiging amendment ko sa DepEd. Oo, nagagawin. Ito naman okay, para lang clear sa utak ko, sinabi ko na yun.
Merong counterpart yan sa music because we are now trying to make part of the Schools for Living tradition yung mga vanishing musical...
Bakit hindi ba ho kasama ang music sa SLT? Kasama.
Yeah.
Like this harp in Lalo. O sabi nyo, at saka yung bamboo, saan yun?
Bamboo, that's Ishaga Isabela.
Echagi Isabela.
Sa Ishaga Isabela lang meron ganyan. Bamboo buzzers.
Ano yung sa Paracelis?
Paracelis, gangsa, and yung iba pang musical traditions nila. They're very good in Paracelis when it comes to, hindi lang damit kundi music nila. So we're integrating this into K11 and 12. Maging part ng teaching sa high school ng mga itong places na ito so that when the students graduate, may trabaho na sila.
That should be part of it. That should be considered an SLT and should be part of this project we're doing with DepEd. So, I will review the MOA you have. I will look at the 15 where it's being implemented and look at the balance where it is not being implemented to include the musical instruments which are dying or already gone, and they should be integrated here. Beautiful.
Sayang kasi pag namatay, these are very creative traditions. It's like Laku, he's one of a kind. Ito yung talelet, yung bamboo buzzers ng mga Kalinga or Ifugao, they converted it into 4 voices, soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. So 4 bamboo instruments nagka-quartet.
How can we view that? Is there a museum? Is there a room in the National Museum for musical instruments? Wala pa.
Wala pa.
Mind me to tell Anna we should have musical instruments.
Maybe this can be part of the Balanghay building that we're...
Maybe part of the Balanghay.
Yeah,
okay, sa Balanghay. So give us feedback before your plenary o sa CCP, find out yung lupa nila, yun na nga. And then this will be part of the... Kung wala pa National Museum, may part of the Balanghay will be the musical. You'll have a room there for your musical instruments of the country.
And
teaching also. So this Balanghay will house the Institute of SLTs to include music and will really be not just a museum where you can look and appreciate, which is good, but people will be weaving, people will be doing harp, will be teaching how to do the harp, will be replicating the harp of Lalo. So the Gadangs will be doing their little beadwork and their weaving, while the people of Lalo, people would want to copy what the people of Lalo are doing by doing the harp. People will be teaching. It's going to be a big buzz of all activities from weaving to music to etc. Performance, everything.
In the graduation of the certificate courses for musical instruments, they can sell the musical instruments at a museum.
Exactly. Then there will be a shop there for all the, whether textiles or instruments, etc. And TESDA will be present in that balanghay because TESDA has to institutionalize all these skills.
That is a traditional instrument that we are trying to revive because it is a very
Mag-exhibit kayo. Di ba right now I see the SLTs. Can you have an exhibit next year na of your musical instruments? Whatever you have. Kasi baka puro pangalan na lang yan. Hindi namin alam ang itsura. I don't know anong itsura ng hegalong. O, hindi ko na alam yung, alam ko lang kulintang dyan eh. Hindi ko na alam ang buyula.
We had a project 5 years ago where we commissioned 6 ethno-linguistic groups or 6 cultural committees to make hegalong according to their tradition. Yeah, meron kaming prototypes in the NCCA of the hegalong. Ganyan ang ginagamit na. We're commissioning communities to make prototype instruments para hindi mamatay. Pag nawala na kasi yung original makers, baka wala
ano nga yung sa Marinduque, pero parang nabingi yata ako nito.
Hindi kalutang.
Ano? Yung kalutang.
Kalutang.
Maganda. Pero kailangan yun open air. Kasi
Open
pag
air.
maliit na kwarto,
Kakabingi.
nako, ang aking eardrums. Governor Perez, nabingi. Kasi may vertigo.
Yeah, tutulutugan of Iloilo and Maasin, Iloilo.
Sa Antique, wala ba tayong musicality sa ating probinsya?
Well, Sarsuela.
Ano?
Sarsuela.
Ay, yung Sarsuela natin. Sarsuela ba nagsimula sa amin? Yes. Hindi ko alam.
Ada din Pampanga.
Oo, ba't sinasabi nitong gobernador dito, sa amin daw nagsimula ang Sarsuela?
It could be another another type of Sarsuela. Because Iloilo Sarsuela was very active. Iloilo and Antique, very active yan. These are the very, very unique traditions.
Why don't you have a concert of indigenous music? Not just, kasi usually what we, palaging rondalia, pangkat kawayan, which is good, but all of these little known. So, it will have an exhibit, and then we will have a concerto.
That's what we're doing every year, pero a group lang. Hindi naman lahat yan. Usually
saan po?
5 types of instruments.
Kasama sa Dayaw.
Kasama sa...
Saan?
Yeah, we call it, meron kami music festival called Taltunugan. We feature it.
Saan ginagawa?
Different places. Last time we did it in Maasin, Iloilo, last year.
You have one big concert in
We can do that.
in Cultural Center to bring all of this music together.
We can do that.
Kayo
Music
mag-direct.
festival.
A music festival of indigenous, what do you call this? Indigenous instruments? Whatever's available. Who can do that? Has it ever been done before?
No, that has never been done before.
Is it?
Partial.
Bring it to the attention of Raoul Sunico. I'm sure he liked that.
We had a Gongs and Bamboo Festival. We did that. International, actually. We did that in Dipolog, di ba? International Gongs and Bamboo Festival. Pero
If you
Gongs and
bring
Bamboo.
it to the cultural center, because the media are here, and let's have one for next year, we can do that. Even after the Biennale opening on May 9, since marami tayong ginagawa, let's say by October, tama-tama, may APEC, tas magandang punta.
We can do that. We can do that. Because we already sponsored a national bamboo music festival. We also had a Gongs and Bamboo Festival International. We also had a Lute and Theaters Festival. Not just selected groups of instruments. Yeah, we can put all of them together, I guess.
In a 2-hour concert. Kaya ni Adele yan. Magtatayo tayo ng balanghay. Meron tayong International Music Festival of Indigenous Instruments. Ano pa? Kaya ba natin to?
For the APEC.
Meron tayong Art Biennale sa Venice. Meron tayong Architecture Biennale 2016. Handay pa natin, ha? Meron tayong institutionalization of SLTs in all DepEd high schools. Ang dami natin, ha? Sige, ano pang gusto nyo?
Imagine if we can put the rondalia, bamboo instruments, and gongs in one concert.
Tapos yung mga lupa ng mga katutubo pa, i-rationalize namin ni Direktor. Ang dami ko. Yan, kasi we can keep on talking and we will have more assignments. So I think we better approve your budget. Adele. So yung lakub, ha? Sige. Ang dami natin gagawin.
I'd like to congratulate Adele because he was the one who went to Marantao and to persuade the masters there to revive the tradition which has not been practiced for the past 20 years.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Oh, wait. When are we inaugurating our permanent Senate gallery, which will be in our lobby?
October 27.
So that we will take out those plastic-covered paintings. Okay. So that is your contribution at no cost to the Senate. It's a gift. Okay. Subjected to tax? No. Okay. Make sure it has a clearance of the Senate President, all the admin details, and we'll be inaugurating it on the 27th, which is the anniversary of the Senate also, and Indigenous Peoples Month. The Gamaba awardees yun, ha?
Yes, by the way, Madam Senator, baka hindi po alam ng mga ibang Senator, kaming gumawa ng Senate hymn ninyo. I wrote the music of and Virginia Almario wrote the lyrics for the Senate hymn.
Oh, ang galing. Congrats. I didn't even know that. Thank
Yung kinakanta nyo every Monday morning.
Yes. I see. You wrote the music.
I wrote the music.
And Mr.
Virginia
Almario
wrote the lyrics.
Ang galing. How long ago?
2 years ago pa. 2 years. Yeah. 2 or 3 years ago. I was asked by...
Can you write a hymn for my office?
Anytime.
Ma'am, actually doon sa exhibit, doon sa exhibit po ng NCCA, we wanted to propose na baka pwedeng isali doon yung history of the Senate and then just a little literature on the history of the
Yan.
Senate.
Masalimuot.
Ay, ganon. Okay. Sige, wag na din na lang po.
Mukhang tong TV show natin hindi na matutuloy.
We're preparing the specs for the bidding.
Buwan na lang. Pag natin, Nobyembre na.
Yeah, we'll make sure that it is obligated before the end of the year.
So it can be done for next year.
It can be done next year.
I mentioned this before. Are you closely coordinating with the DTI because they have the funds and they give away the machines and they give away handlooms? Sa Convergence, ginagawa nyo yun. Parang meron tayong pinag-usapan yung libro on cultural awareness. Ano ba ito?
Yeah, we are doing that. We will launch it on January 28.
Opo. Okay. Ano kayang araw yun, sir?
Ano nga kayang araw yan? Yeah, it's in the making. We have already identified the traditions to be included there.
Sige po, ang dami nating gagawin na. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Senator.
Thank you very much. Oh, last na. Can you just put on record po, ano po ang sakop ninyo in terms of responsibility for the preservation of heritage structures?
Yes.
I know that the NHCP, the NM, National Museum, and the NNCCA have divided jurisdictions.
We already are preparing a MOA with the LGU so that maybe any kind of heritage structure that will be affected by mga constructions have to be given permission or certificate
Hindi, paano po nyo hinati yung assignment ng tatlong ahensya? NCCA, NHCP, and museum. Di ba? Those of historical significance,
Yes, ma'am.
And
also
NHCP,
NHCP.
cultural significance,
National Museum.
and sa inyo, anything else?
World Heritage Sites,
World Heritage Sites,
and the works of national artists.
and anything else that is not covered by that?
Anything else
Yes,
that
ma'am.
is not covered by historical marker of NHCP and markers of NM.
Pag walang marker, marami naman dyan walang marker. Kaninong sakop yun?
NCCA po.
Privately owned, walang marker, pero maganda at luma.
Sa NCCA pa rin po yan, ma'am.
NCCA.
Yes, ma'am.
It's agreed upon during the last board meeting. It will be
Okay.
NCCA, and there's not a need for NHCP to recognize it. Will undertake a process for them to be able to do that.
That we will draft a special provision. Hopefully, it's approved in the GAA so that no state funds will be used in any project that would violate the national heritage law and would have to seek clearance or guidance from the three culture agencies before any state funds will be used. In short, if you want to build a road but you will demolish a 200-year-old bridge in Nueva Vizcaya, no, you cannot do that. Diba? Sinabi ko yun, no?
in
Who's
principle-
supposed to draft it? NCCA?
In principle, we agreed.
NHCP. Pa-check mo rin sa kanila.
In principle, we agreed on the one-stop shop arrangement, where all these concerns will be registered with NCCA, will be brought to the attention of the NCCA, and it's up to us to refer this to the other agencies. Kasi nga, people are confused kung saan nila dadalhin, kung NCCP or NM. We agreed upon this one office will receive all the complaints or the requests for clearance. It will be the NCCA, and then we'll just work together with the other agencies.
Can you kindly give a hotline where people can call na ito, tinitibag nitong developer yung munisipyo na 200 taon. Tulungan nyo kami. Ganun.
Yeah.
Dedicated hotline.
Sige po. Pero at the moment kasi, they just use the email and then immediately
The email's fine.
heritage unit of Mr. Corpus action on any complaint or request.
Meron.
We send an officer, something like a police, and then the lawyer also of the
Heritage
NCCA.
Police.
Something like that because we're already accredited with the NALEC. So we have yung law enforcement committee. So we are
Ibig sabihin, di baril na si Chairman John.
but parang we're given the authority to
CDO. You cannot issue
we are,
CDOs.
we have been issuing. Yeah. The cultural agencies and NCCA.
Because the board agreed on the issues, the necessary issuance of a CDO if there's a sense of urgency, and I can do it. I'm authorized by the board to issue a CDO. Like in the case of this Anda monument, we issued a CDO to stop the transfer. Because upon examination, it was discovered that it's weak. It has a weak foundation, and transferring it might destroy the monument. So it's better to study it first and to move very slowly.
What is that
About it.
1930s apartment that's being demolished? Michelle, ano yun? Private yun eh.
Wait, yes.
And you cannot do anything pag ano?
We have to examine it, and we can send a hearing officer to find out if we can issue another CDO for that. I just gave permission this morning to issue a CDO for the Santa Ana. Yes, because there's a CDC company trying to build within the buffer zone, within the archaeological buffer zone of Santa Ana. Santa Ana is an ancient archaeological cultural site, no? And we just issued a CDO this morning. We can do that. Because there is so much concern in the board last meeting that we are not doing enough to stop all this, so we are now
Because you lack personnel to monitor it also.
But also there was no previous agreement among the different agencies on who could issue which or who has the authority over which.
It's clear.
Ngayon malinaw na, it's now
Okay.
clear.
Good. Okay, we thank you for that. We'll continue to work together, and we hope to see the fruition of some of these projects, if not all. Yeah. Okay. Budget is, we suspend the hearing and the budget is approved for plenary. Opo, NCIP. Yeah. Swerte NCIP, pagod na yung boses ko, maikli na kayo. Like to call to order our hearing of the budget of the NCIP. We recognize Chairman Leonor Quintayo to save my voice. We'll ask the COMSEC to read all of those present.
Good afternoon. We'd like to acknowledge the presence of the following resource persons for the hearing of the proposed budget of the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples. Attorney Leonor Oralde Quintavo, Chairperson, Southern and Eastern Mindanao. Ms. Zenaida Brigida Pawid. Attorney Percy Browner. Mr. Bayani Sumaong, Commissioner Region 3 and the rest of Luzon, Ms. Jonesha Banua, Commissioner Island Group and the rest of the Visayas, Mr. Cosme M. Lambayon, Commissioner Northern and Western Mindanao, Ms. Era C. España, Commissioner Central Mindanao. And we would like to acknowledge also the presence of Administrator Eulalio Diaz of the Land Registration Authority, Mr. Ronald Ortile, the Deputy Administrator, Land Registration Authority.
Full force kayo, ha?
That's all, Your Honor.
Commissioner Pawid po and Commissioner Bronner. May previous appointment kasi po silang dalawa.
Next time you come, you should wear your indigenous outfit.
Oh.
Di ba?
Yeah.
The first issue will be on overlapping land claims. I asked this of the LRA in the DOJ hearing this morning. How can we solve the problem of NCIP issuing titles through CADT and CALTIs, CLOA, DAR, ano ba isa? Patents ang DNR. Ano pa ba? CLOA ang DAR, yan. Tatlong ahensya, no? And then the titles to the judicial process. Tapos sila naman, ang diyan kayo nagre-rehistro. Hindi kasi pwede na magpatuloy na issue ng issue ang lahat ng ahensyang may mandato na may na-issue na pala na previously na isa pang ahensya. So, all of you, DNR, NCIP, and DAR, should respect the process. Kung sinong nauna na, hindi naman dapat ginagawa ng titulo yung previously na issuean. This subject, I'm sure, is not new to you. It's been raised by the Senate President in many hearings. I've sat here every year talking about duplicating land claims. It has become, for me, a national security issue where there are problems on the ground, internal political conflicts, legal conflicts. It's so tiring and bad that people are fighting over land because of the lack of coordination of government agencies. May we hear from the chair, how can we, not to blame any agency, what's the way forward to avoid overlapping, duplicating claims because of government agencies issuing titles? Chair can tayo.
Yeah, thank you very much, Your Honor, and good afternoon, everyone. NCIP, in relation to these issues, together with the DNR, LRA, and DAR, entered into a joint administrative order to settle all this matter, supposed to be. And through this JAW, NCIP, DAR, LRA, continuously conducting dialogue from the regional to the national level to trace out overlapping of claims and to address also issues on the registration of CADTI with the LRA, Your Honor.
I'm glad that there is an AO. Was that mentioned earlier? Hindi yata nabanggit na merong AO. I was informed that there are dialogues, but there's an AO basis for all of this.
This is rather new, ma'am. I think that was signed about, 2 years ago? 2012. So there are already problems beforehand, and that was the reason why we entered into that. Yeah.
Problems have been here for a long, long time. Just an idea, how many hectares of land are being contested based on these agencies issuing titles? Duplicating.
As to the contested areas, Your Honor, we don't have exact estimate of the areas, but up to the present, NCIP is able to delineate more or less 5 million hectares of ancestral domain, with more than 162 ancestral domain titles issued all over the Philippines, Your Honor. 162 titles covering more or less 5 million hectares of ancestral domain.
Those 5 million hectares, how many of those also have CLOAS? O wala naman duplicate? Or have a free patent?
There are contentious areas, Your Honor. Precisely the effort of these 3 or 4 agencies to sit down and trace out these contentious areas, precisely the JAW. And at the regional level, even as we are here gathered, there are dialogues, there are meetings with the counterparts at the regional level to look at these overlapping claims.
Glad to hear that there is such an AO, that there is a group that continues to talk to thresh out existing problems. I won't venture into that. It's a long process. How about the way forward? How do we prevent any more duplicating titles being issued by all these agencies?
With the existence of JAW, Your Honor, the Joint Administrative Order, with that AO, NCIP cannot register any CADTI without the Certificate of Non-Overlap issued by DNR and DA. DAR.
Very good. Yun lang ang solution actually eh. Mag-coordinate lang lahat. May Certificate of Non-Overlap. Kung wala pa, fine. Pero kung may nag-issue na ng ibang, may CLOA na, or meron ng ibang titulo, hindi na pwede. Dapat may Certificate of Non-Overlap. Tama.
Your Honor, if I may continue, even if the area is delineated as ancestral domain already, we are required to exclude and segregate titled properties already vested prior to the delineation, Your Honor, so that the ancestral domain will not include vested rights or those with CLOA, with titles, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am, we confirm that. In fact, that was what we mentioned earlier, that a certain clearance should be issued to the effect that there are no contentious portions of the CADTI before they are finally brought to us for registration. And that certification, it can be in the form of clearance from the certificate.
If I may, Your Honor, certificate of no overlap.
Choose that.
DNR and the DAR. LRA also, through LRA.
3 agencies. Yeah. So it's clear in my mind. If there's a certificate of non-overlap, hindi, wala na. You should not register anything if there is an overlap, di ba?
Yes, ma'am. The only problem was the previous problems. Yes, and
So prospectively, after 2012 AO, and with the continuing dialogue and coordination, there are no more problems after 2012? Or meron pa rin?
I don't know with the DNR, ma'am, because we are only talking with the NCIP. So
The DNR should be part of the AO. Hindi kasama?
They are part, Your Honor.
What we do is we don't register them. We ask the DNR to correct whatever imperfections in the technical description just to avoid overlap. But sometimes,
So you don't register them, but they issue a title. It will be an unregistered title.
it remains pending,
Pending.
until after they correct
The
it.
issuance of a title comes from you.
No, registration, ma'am. Issuance kasi it's just like a delivery of what DNR gave us. We register it, but we call it issuance.
The issuance.
But actually, it's just a registration, delivering the title to the patentee. But the whole process, who owns this, how big, it's all the concern of the DNR. But the term issuance, parang it gives the idea that we are the one who disposed it, who decided who owns what.
Really the agency.
It's really, yes, ma'am.
Clear. That's all. I just wanted you to sit so that we can find out, because I was not familiar with the AO. I didn't know there was an AO. And I'm glad that I just hope that whatever was done before can be solved with your continuing dialogue. And what's important is we don't create any more additional problems, because it also deters investors. It creates problems when there are none, and people have to fight each other in court, physical, etc. Yeah. Okay. Okay na kayo. Yeah. I'm also tired with my voice. Thank you very much for staying. Huh? Thank you. Highlights na lang. Yung
Yes,
numbers.
Yes, Your Honor, if we may be allowed. NCIP for year 2015, the total proposed budget is 937,030,000 pesos. And for the details of this, may we request the Executive Director to guide us through.
With the permission of the good Senator, ma'am. For 2015, we have the President's budget is actually a total increase of 6.8% only from that of 2014, which is 937,030,000. But together with the automatic appropriations, it's 984,497,000. it is noteworthy to mention, Madam Senator, that we have not hit the 1 billion mark for an agency that covers more than 14 million of indigenous peoples in the country. And that there are the programs that we have for this particular budget under our major and final outputs for 2015. Next slide, please. We're supposed to deliver policies that will enable the cultural communities have their rights protected and have their capacities improved through titling, as discussed a while ago, and through human, economic, and environmental development protection services, which is under major final output number 3, and of course, as mentioned earlier, on the rights under major final output 4. Again, it is noteworthy to mention that these MFOs are directly related to the rights and to the capacities of indigenous peoples. The new development, Madam Chair, is on the MFO 3, wherein Human, Economic, and Environmental Development Protection Services. We have responded to the call of the agenda of the President in terms of climate change, disaster management, because majority of the existing forest areas, ma'am, are actually in ancestral domains, no longer in forest lands. So therefore, the communities, indigenous cultural communities, have a major role in climate change. Thus, MFO 3 is actually the portion where much of the small increase is actually added. Through Pamana, and these activities would be implemented basically in regions 11 and 13, and then the rest of the activities distributed to all regions. The highlight of our strategies for 2015, can we go back to the first? Since we have CADTs that have reached a 5 million mark, almost 5 million mark, and a CADTIA ball of almost 6 million, I would say we have an estimate of at least 10 million of ancestral domains. That means we have to intensify land security and management. We have to protect the environment and increase resiliency and adaptiveness to natural systems. Ensure access to basic and higher education. Ma'am, this is where our educational assistance program lies, which I
You have
think...
scholarships
yes, ma'am. I think
in SUCs?
Um,
Ano yun? Private?
Meron
do you do it?
pong nasa state universities, ma'am. Meron din pong nasa private. Depende po kung anong available na lugar doon sa area na nandoon yung aming mga
How many scholars do you have in a year?
ngayon po, we have almost 2,000. No? Distributed
2,000.
po. Depende po, ma'am, sa elementary po, we have...
Tips. How do they access it?
Meron po, ma'am, kaming guidelines na ginagamit.
Sa inyong regional offices?
Magsisimula po sa service center, madam. And then, i-screen po sila, pupunta sa provincial office. And meron po itong process wherein the regional office will finally come up with the list to be concurred by the commissioner in charge of the region. So, meron po kami
Baka hindi naman mga tao yan, hindi na-access. Do they know it?
Yes, Your Honor. We do some information campaign through the provincial offices of NCIP. And to date, we have, for school year 2014-2015, we have a total beneficiaries of 7,802, distributed as follows. Elementary, we have 784. High school, we have 1,216. College, 5,802 beneficiaries. We have also, yes, ma'am. We have two kinds of scholarship, the educational assistance and the merit-based. For the educational assistance, we give initially 5,000 per semester, but there is an amendment now taking into consideration the high cost of living. So we increase it to 10,000, but in a staggered manner. I mean, not all of them now is given 10,000. To those who will graduate, those who will to those who graduated, those who will replace him at this time will be entitled already to 10,000 po. But as to the merit-based scholarship, we have 25,000 per semester per scholar. Yes, Your Honor. For college only, Your Honor. For high school and elementary, we have 2,500 per school year. For high school, 5,000 per school year.
Are you sure they are aware of this and they can access it? O baka yung mga, yung mga may kamag-anak lang sa NCIP, o yung mga leader lang ng LGU, yung gano'n lang. Pero yung talaga mga nangangailangan na walang koneksyon, hindi nila alam na meron palang mga scholarship.
Your Honor, to address those, we have existing guidelines that would disqualify employees of NCIP.
Walang masama kasi nangangailangan din.
Yeah.
Hindi ko lang sabihin na is the information sufficient to be able to really attract those who really are in need. As
mentioned earlier, Your Honor, we tried our best to really reach out to communities to disseminate information as this. But, Your Honor, due to limited resources, we cannot accommodate those who would really want it. So we do some kind of screening. We cannot really, with our present budget for EAP, for Educational Assistance Program, we cannot accommodate everyone, Your Honor.
In the previous years, ilang scholars ang ating provide? Or was there any one time when we had more than 10,000 scholars? In 1 year.
2011, Your Honor, our beneficiaries we have a total beneficiaries of 15,438. For college, 11,000, more than 11,000 scholars.
With 15,000 in 2011?
Yes, Your
Why
Honor.
do we have only 7,000 now?
Maybe because, Your Honor, of the increase we increased the allowance of the college scholars, but our budget remains the same, so that the beneficiaries, the number are reduced accordingly.
Like to increase a number of scholars. There would be a need, no?
This is really a need. Your Honor, if I may say this, I am a beneficiary of a scholar grant just like this. So I can say that this is very crucial in the empowerment of our people.
College?
For my college and for my College of Law. Yes, Your Honor.
Scholar from NCIP?
Yes, Your Honor.
Full
po. As an IP.
Long ago was this?
Long time ago.
Meron na bang scholarship?
Yes, Your Honor. And NISGP, Your Honor. And SIGYAP, Your Honor, during that time. So, just to...
Saan ka nga sa Davao, no?
Sa Malita, Davao del Sur.
Davao Sur.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your whole college?
Yes, Your Honor.
And College of Law, saan?
Ateneo de Davao.
Very good.
Yes, Your Honor. This is very...
I-submit nyo yung increase sa scholarship. Full scholarship.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Titingnan natin kung may pagkukunan. Pero, okay.
If I may continue, ma'am, for For health services, long before the RH law has been enacted, NCIP, even in previous life of NCIP, may OSCC, NCC, mayroon na pong mga health services. In fact, we have a special project in Mindanao, the IP Manchen, where the lessons are taken into consideration for our MOA with the Department of Health. So we are going to implement culturally responsive health service for our indigenous cultural communities, indigenous peoples. And then for the judicial function of the agency, this is where we also need a great deal of support, because as a commission, aside from administrative role and legislative role, ma'am, meron din pong judicial function. And we have very limited people, especially at the central office. Meron po kaming clerk of the commission, kaya lang hindi pa po ito nagiging plantilla position. Although the 2015 budget could not cover it because we're not yet allowed to reorganize, we have the MOE. That's why when I was asked a while ago, the MOE that we have at the central office is basically funding this. And we could not have this budget because the judicial function of the agency will suffer. So this is where we are inclined, and we are now, in fact, hiring lawyers or even clerk of the commission on a job contract basis. So we hope that this will not, the MOE of the central office will not be reduced, but in fact be augmented because there are as many cases as you can count that are being attended to by the commission. Aside from that, ma'am, also under this particular strategy,
usually about?
We have community level cases and we have individual cases. So we have what we call IPLAF, Indigenous Peoples Legal Assistance Fund, where IPs seek legal assistance from NCIP. Meron po yun sa provincial level, then meron kami provincial legal officer. Meron din po sa region. Meron din pong mga kaso na the titles are being questioned, like what happened po in Boracay. I think you are aware of what happened in Boracay. So this is very important because if there's no legal assistance to cultural communities, they will be losing their lands. Basically po, ma'am, more of the land issue. Kasi yun po yung, well, as discussed a while ago, may mga contentious areas po. Meron din pong issue ng security. There are communities that are being displaced due to some development projects that have not gone through the free and prior informed consent process. So yun po kailangan ng kanilang suporta, how to address the human rights that have been violated.
But please make sure that the IPs do not abuse these laws that are meant to protect them. And second, that the IPs do not just suddenly appear in places where they never used to be. And third, that there are people who are non-IPs but who suddenly claim to be IPs. In Palawan, meron daw mga ganun eh. Suddenly, there are areas which are uninhabited, owned already by certain people. And then, suddenly, when they hear that there would be development, they would migrate to that place, and they say they've been there for decades. And they will claim they're IPs even if they're not IPs. Meron ganun. There are syndicates. Give me a report nga on, because this is an issue that would victimize IPs. It gives a bad name to indigenous peoples. Are you familiar with this modus operandi?
Yes, Your Honor. We have initiated actions to address all this. There are a lot of groups showing up representing IPs, which are not legitimate groups. Yeah. We started in particular in Region 13. Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. Very rampant there.
There are lawyers who claim to be lawyers of IPs, but actually, they're fixers. Sinusulsulan ng mga IP, tas maghahati sila whatever they could extort from the people. That's really terrible. Yeah. So they take advantage of the IPs, and they abuse the law.
That's true, Your Honor. In relation to the quasi-judicial functions of NCIP, because of these things, we have at present more than 400 cases pending before the quasi-judicial unit of NCIP for the commission and for the regional hearing officer to be resolved, Your Honor.
I think we basically presented the whole budget, ma'am. I just highlighted the major activities that we are supposed to deliver. But let me also just inform you that the recently concluded intercultural exchange will be ready with the report by end of the month. As requested, there will be sections of the photos of the Hibla that we brought from the different regions.
You're talking about the
one
National
that
Museum.
we had.
And
Yes,
you
ma'am.
had in one day in the National Museum, the other days in the hotel, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you, all the output, you have the output of the conference.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Will you upload it in your website? Will you do a catalog of it? How will you document that?
Ma'am, as you have requested before we left the National Museum, we will be mapping with the catalog. Yes, ma'am. So our artist will have a good layout of it. It
But
will
again,
come out as
yung blueprint,
yes, madam.
para taon-taon, gawin nyo yan. Oo. Diba? Para annual, summit, annual conference.
Yes, Your Honor. Precisely, we are so grateful for that rare opportunity where our leaders can have opportunity to have these conversations, and we discuss issues like the ADS DPP, the FPIC, and during that gathering, we were able also to hear and listen their concerns, their sentiments as to the policies existing already, so that the Commission can look at it and consider for possible amendment of existing policies. And so it's a good thing that it can be a regular.
Make it
activity.
regular. Is it in your budget for 2015?
Yes, Madam Chair, because it's been in the just for this year, it became part of our GAA. And with the permission of the chair, just also would like to mention that Congressman De La Cruz asked us to furnish you his the augmentation request in support of your bill for the PSA on census. Yes, Madam. The NCIP will be doing a corresponding, if this will be augmented, will be doing the corresponding action at the ICC level. So there will be a resources assessment that includes health services, the environment, all that are available at the community through cultural mapping, and then we will do the
Congressman
ICC.
De La Cruz, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Abacada, ma'am. Gugo.
Yeah, si
Jonathan po. Si Jonathan.
in the lower house is a sponsor of the Ethnic Origin Act.
Ma'am, hindi po.
Hindi.
Nakita niya, but he said that he would like to, he asked us to produce the figures for this because he manifested on the floor that NCIP budget should be increased. And we managed to submit to him the figures for that, which he instructed us to give a copy to you so that it can be considered for the budget, Madam.
We'll sponsor it when we return. Pagbalik natin from our trip and when we open on the week of the 22nd. Yeah. And so the Ethnic Origin Act, and then the regular institutionalization of the National IP Summit, and then the rationalization of the titling problem. Yes, who is the commissioner in charge of cultural activities who can be the person we always contact for the SLTs of NCCA? Ganon. Sino po sa inyo?
Your Honor, may I recommend that the concerned bureau and the oversight commissioner over that bureau, which is the OACS, Office for Education and Culture. So, under that office, Director Buasen And the Oversight Commissioner is Commissioner Sumawang, Your Honor.
Because I want to see the NCIP also very involved and proactive in terms of the preservation of the culture of our indigenous peoples. I think you were here earlier when they had the budget of the NCCA, and they're doing good work with the preservation of the SLTs. Actually, you should be doing that because it's the art and living traditions of our indigenous peoples. You should be doing that in partnership with NCCA.
Yes, Your Honor. Most of those SLTs they are supporting SLTs within ancestral domain. In that sense, we are in collaboration with them. Financially, they support the SLTs within the ancestral domain.
Correct. They are within ancestral domains, but what I'm saying is that in the terms of perpetuating the skills, of passing it on from the master weaver, the master craftsman, the mentor, the manang, etc., who will die, dapat maging proyekto ng NCIP and the NCCA, they're doing it, collaborative effort to make sure it is passed on and it does not die. The way you're very proactive in terms of AD, ancestral domain, dapat ganun din sa pag-preserve ng inyong kultura at skills. The identification, I'm sure you have a list of all the SLTs, no? Just like the NCCA has. Is your list the same as the NCCA in terms of SLTs? And of IPs? Or merong SLT na hindi naman IP?
Mga SLTs na hindi supported by NCCA, kasi may mga SLTs na run by the community themselves, especially those who are financially capable already because they have investments within their AED. So part of their programs, those SLTs within their communities. So that might cause some variation in terms of listings of SLTs.
That's fine. The more SLTs, the better.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you have a clear mapping of existing SLTs which you recognize? Dapat may database kayo ng SLTs ninyo.
Yeah, that would be for next year, Your Honor. But we have initial listings, but not
completed, please.
Comprehensive.
Make it for your next year's project. While NCCA has all the SLTs that they've been supporting and not supporting, but they have the database. Please have your database of all SLTs of indigenous peoples. Are there SLTs not of IP groups?
We are not aware of any, Your Honor.
So when you say SLTs, talagang it's a community of IPs that owns it within an AD. Okay? So dapat naka-clear database yan at merong kayong mekanismo na i-perpetuate yung artistry, yung performance, yung ritual, yung lengguwahe, yung pagsulat, yung pagpinta, yung pagkanta, yung pag-ukit, yung lahat. Yung even practices. Yung environment practice, yung agriculture practice, lahat ng sinaunang katutubong kinagisnan. Environmental, cultural, agricultural.
Yes, Your Honor. We are also in collaboration with DepEd in terms of integrating the indigenous knowledge systems and practices of the indigenous peoples in the curriculum, Your Honor. And
iba pa to sa kanilang MOA, you were here earlier?
Yes.
With DepEd for their SLTs.
Yes, but the legal basis for our collaboration is EO 62 of DepEd, mandating indigenous people's education framework, so that NCIP and DepEd work together in trying to come up with an indigenous curriculum with the help of the community.
You're talking about DepEd high schools,
yes,
where there are indigenous peoples, communities in that area.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're trying to mainstream the teaching of indigenous knowledge as part of the high school curriculum.
Yes, sir. Even with the K-12, Your Honor.
Is this already existing, or are you still studying it?
No, existing already. There are already schools with indigenous curriculum, especially those IP high school, and elementary school. And we also engage with private entities, schools, just like the Pamulaan of Mindanao. This is situated within a university of SUC, which is an SUC, but catering for the education of IPs all over the Philippines, but selected only. And this is supported by a private, a non-government organization. And we also work with the University of PLU. In relation to IP education also.
It's for tertiary already.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have a MOA with the DepEd, just like the NCCA has for its SLTs, but this time for your indigenous knowledge systems? And do you have such a MOA also with CHED, so that it can be also offered for...
Wala pa po, Your Honor.
Okay. Please get a copy of their MOA for SLTs. And program yours to be a MOA between NCCA, NCIP and DepEd, and NCIP and CHED, so that, and you create the framework, the template, the curriculum that could be incorporated in the budget, in the program, so that this indigenous knowledge systems can be taught. So between the SLTs and the indigenous knowledge, then it will be a richer, more, how do you say it, culture and heritage-based curriculum for DepEd. Di ba, ang ganda. Yan ang anyong project for next year also. So that means there will be variations in various DepEd schools. Depende sa region na may community ng IPs. Ang ganda nun. Then we will be able to perpetuate the indigenous knowledge if it's taught from one generation to the next.
Particularly in Mindanao, Your Honor, DepEd already, past years already had started working with the community, with the elders, in terms of integrating the indigenous knowledge in the curriculum. And for finalization this time.
So you can probably pattern it after what the NCCA did with the DepEd, and probably even enhance it and then do a better job. So what else? We discussed the scholarships. Hopefully we could increase it. We'll find out how. The institutionalization of the annual NCIP Summit, a point person for arts and culture, indigenous knowledge systems mainstreaming in DepEd schools, and possibly even CHED. Why not a regional IP center that could be based in SUCs, in areas where there are IPs, where there's a strong IP?
Madam Senator, I think we already started with in Iloilo, and we have provided our technical assistance. Also, we hope that the bill will be yes, Madam. I don't know, with due respect to the good Senator, parang balak nyo yata ang dagdagan ito next year, di ba, ma'am? So
you will identify which areas are feasible.
Opo.
Are there areas na walang IPs? Hindi naman. All regions have.
Yes, ma'am.
We have 7 ethnographic regions na meron po talagang indigenous peoples.
Maybe focus on the 7 first, or maybe you can select muna ano ang tingin yung nangangailangan, or kaya ba nyong gawin lahat?
Yes, Your Honor. In fact, we initiated one because we were inspired by your support last year,
Ano
and
yun?
so now we started in Baguio, a institute for IP leadership, university based. So we started it.
UP Baguio?
No, University of Cordillera, and this is supported by the UNDP. And we started already the negotiation with actually we started already the discussion with the administration of Cordillera University regarding this institute. And in Mindanao also, we have conceptualized with the IP elders an IP leadership institute that is not university-based, rather it is an ancestral domain-based that would house this need for the IP leadership for capacity building, not only for the leaders but also for the young generations, NCIP and other IP advocate. And we partnered this with the Mindanaon, headed by Father Bert Alejo, and we have already the project proposal for this.
What university is the partner here, and where in Mindanao?
We already initially identified the area in Region 12, at the foot of Mount Apu, but we still have to. This
It will not be an NSUC.
No,
It will be an independent
Yes,
structure. Di
but-
gastos na naman.
Yeah, but this is Ateneo de Davao will initially guide us through, and later maybe the community, when able, they will eventually head or manage the institute, for that matter. But these are just initiatives to really set up the IP Leadership Institute, as well as in NCIP Region 5, meron po tayong Center for IPs din po. So, in Iriga. Yeah, this is not, I think, university based. This is outside of, yeah. But at least we have this center.
Creations man, it could be university based, it could be out, but as
Yes.
long as there is that
Yes, Your Honor. Especially so if this will be funded, as you have said, this will help in the perpetuation of the culture as well as the protection of this heritage.
I wonder if you are involved, but you should be in the Mountain Province Polytechnic College. There's an IP Resource Center. Yes? Can you tell me what's going on? It was just built, no? Is it already going on?
I think this particular project, Your Honor, is initiated by the local government units. And I'm not so sure if our local NCIP is able to participate.
Kindly ask the local NCIP, the regional director, to help the local government and the president of the Mountain Province Polytechnic College so that it can be a good center for Indigenous people studies.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it can be made accessible to people of Mountain Province and the other provinces in the Cordillera. Then soon I want, Marlea, how is the IP Resource Center in Western Visayas doing?
Ma'am, I made a call to President Pascual because he said yung pag-release po ng pera, Mamina, medyo may na-revert silang konti, pero ngayon daw po marirelease. So, I'll just follow it up. Yes, ma'am. Meron na pong pinrocess na po, pero hindi naman daw po, I think the President doesn't need the formal endorsement because it's not actually ours, it's theirs. So, I just made a phone call, Madam, just to remind that we have already participated in the review through Director Bosen.
funding was given through UP,
Yes, ma'am.
which is earmarked for that UP Visayas for the IP Resource Center.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a problem when that happens? UP Diliman does not give it? Hindi naman, binibigay naman.
Hindi
O
naman.
matagal ang pag-download?
Ma'am, the usual
The
process
usual,
po.
the usual, slow. So you mean slow, yeah.
Hindi naman po slow,
No?
pero
Hindi naman.
inabot po ng quarter.
Anyway.
Yes, ma'am.
So
but
when-
it's moving po.
It's moving. Okay, as long as moving. Okay.
Ano na lang.
Okay, pupuntahan ko kayo kung okay na.
Madam, I just would like to the bill po kasi we're still looking for the counterpart representative po. Yung bill po natin sa IP Resource Center because that was the assignment before that there should be a counterpart bill. We still have to finalize with the staff of Congresswoman Nancy Catamco because so that it can move. The other bill that yun nga, ma'am eh. So, pero mas
makasama natin sa biyahe.
Yes, ma'am. Kaya nga
Bigyan
po.
akong kopya, bigyan mo kopya.
Opo.
Tapos, ganito. So si Kong Bagilat, di ba kasama natin? Kong Nancy, hindi natin kasama, pero bigyan mo ng kopya. Si Kong De La Cruz, I'm sure he'd want to author that. Marami yan, sigurado ako. Tapos, you bring a copy of our bill. You will be the one to ask GIZ to fund it. Yun. So, dalhin mo lahat ng iyong wish list. Ano pang gusto nyo? Yung annual summit, tumulong sila. Yung IP resource centers in the 7 ethnographic regions, pondohan nila. O ano pa? Magdala ka ng wish list mo sa biyahe mo. Nagpapunta ka doon, GIC. Diba? Ano pa? Yung pag-mainstream ng indigenous knowledge systems into the DepEd curriculum para hindi na magagaling sa DepEd yung funding, make it a GIZ-sponsored project. Yan, 3. Yan ang pag-uusapan natin ng 5 araw doon. Going to be a GIZ-sponsored project. Imagine, if you do this, kailangan ko ba to kasama na ba sa K+12 to or kailangan ko pang isabatas ito for the mainstreaming of indigenous knowledge system in DepEd schools curriculum?
I think, Your Honor, kasi may may Executive Order 62 regarding this matter, yung Indigenous Peoples Education Framework. So I think this is enough already.
Be retrieved from the regular DepEd budget?
Yes, Your Honor.
GIZ, it's Marlea's homework to find the sponsor and the GIZ will fund it.
Yes, madam. Siguro we would be needing the usual GOP counterpart which we will be submitting to MINA for the 2015. Ma'am, yung yung pong nangungulit po ma'am sa amin, ma'am. We will submit to you, ma'am, the proposal. Kasi yung the usual thing na may GOP counterpart, ma'am, we'll give the comprehensive proposal. Ma'am, pang ano lang, ma'am, in kind, the usual figures lang po.
So, ano pa ba? Marami na kayong homework. Sige. Yeah. Tired. Suspend ba ako? Yeah, I suspend the hearing and we approve the budget of the NCIP and I'll see you in plenary. Okay.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you really very much for the support.